Coming up next, new developments in the case of a man accused of sexually assaulting an elderly woman inside a local church.
The animal abuse neighbors in this community say they have reported to the county for years and nothing's changed.
Construction competitors team up to help a family that lost everything in a tragic plane crash. We'll show you how this amazing project came together.
Things are starting to grow again after flood waters took over this farm just north of the border. The silver lining after this year's series of storms coming up in this Earth 8 report.
And if you're wondering why we've received so much rainfall this year, we'll tell you about spirit runners and their cross-country water prayer.
CBS 8 News live at 6 starts now.
A man described in court as being homeless will stand trial on charges of attempted rape of a woman inside a church in Mira Mesa. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
And I'm Jesse Pagan in for Carlo Cicchetto. The woman says he tricked her into letting him in. CBS 8's David Goffredson reports today she testified against him at his preliminary hearing.
Does the complaint reflect your client's true name?
It does, Your Honor.
The 78-year-old woman was the only witness to take the stand during the preliminary hearing of Hugo Espinoza. Judge Stephen Stone ordered us not to record the woman's testimony and not to show the face of the 27-year-old defendant in court. Police say Espinoza knocked on the door of the Summit Point Church in Mira Mesa on November 25th of last year and asked to use the restroom. The woman let him inside, and after exiting the bathroom, the woman told him to leave. That's when she says Espinoza started rubbing up against her and grabbing her breasts. My panic level jumped. I twisted to get away from him, the woman testified in court. At some point, she dropped her cell phone, but she was still holding on to the keys to the church. I was using the keys as a defensive weapon. I remember fighting him aggressively, she told the court. The woman was finally able to break free as Espinoza reached for the waistband of her jeans. At that point, I sat down. Then he let go of me and turned around and left the room, she testified.
Enter pleas of not guilty.
Police arrested Espinoza a few days later. The woman told the court she still volunteers at the church, but she never goes there alone due to the trauma of the alleged attack. After her testimony, Espinoza's public defender argued for lesser charges against his client, who was apparently homeless at the time of the incident.
Mr. Espinoza has zero criminal history, zero arrests. There will be evidence at a later stage involving his mental health.
In the end, the judge ruled there is sufficient evidence to support 2 felony charges of assault with intent to commit rape and attempting to dissuade a witness from reporting a crime.
Is therefore ordered that the defendant be bound over for further proceedings in the Superior Court.
If convicted on all counts, Espinoza faces up to 6 years in prison. At the downtown courthouse, David Goffredson, CBS 8.
Thanks, David. We are learning new details tonight about a double murder at a house party in Harbison Canyon. Detectives are identifying the people who died as 20-year-old Jaden Davis and 29-year-old Shondell Jones. They were shot multiple times early Thursday morning at a home on Renfro Way. And tonight we know that house was an Airbnb rental. Davis was taken to the hospital where he died. Jones was found dead there at the home. Police are looking for the killer.
Investigators in Lakeside are still looking into the death of a man on a hiking trail.
He was hiking on the El Capitan Trail around 6:30 last night when he complained about being hot, tired, and thirsty, all symptoms of heat exhaustion. His friends called for help, but when paramedics arrived, they say he was in dire condition. He was pronounced dead before an emergency helicopter could arrive, and despite the overcast weather, officials say you should still bring plenty of water if you are planning to hike anywhere.
People in a North County community want action from the county's Department of Animal Services.
They say they've reported a neighbor for having too many dogs and not taking care of them, and it's a neighbor we've reported on before. CBS 8's Anna Laurel joins us now live to explain. Anna, what's happening now?
That's right, you guys. Tonight, we just confirmed the county's Department of Animal Services is investigating what is happening at a woman's property here in the gates behind me, and the neighbors who deal with her want action.
We have seen well over the legal limit of dogs on the property. The dogs are aggressive. They leave the property. We've had them on our yard where they've charged us. They've charged my daughter.
People in this North County community frustrated. They say they've reported these dogs and their owner to the county's Department of Animal Services for years, and nothing's changed.
We all have young children, and our kids will be out playing in the front, and all of a sudden we'll see the dogs come, and we literally have to race and grab our 2-year-old because they bite, they attack.
San Diego County Code says you can have 6 dogs on your property. Any more becomes a kennel. In one of the neighbors' videos, we counted 7 dogs in the backyard.
We've counted 5 golden retriever puppies, 4 adults, on top of the dog count that was already there.
These women say they're afraid to go on camera, afraid of their neighbor and the woman they say owns these dogs, Deborah Barkley. Deborah is at the center of another Animal Services investigation. She's one of the owners of this horse property that we've done several reports on starting back in March. She never answered my calls about that situation, but today we saw her for the first time. Hi, Deborah. Can I talk to you just a minute? So you've talked to her before?
Yeah, with a shotgun in my face.
Brent Gleason is a former Navy SEAL and lives in this neighborhood. He says Deborah pulled a gun on him when he returned a couple dogs to her house. He was shocked at what he saw.
Trash, garbage, feces, and all over the floor. A lawnmower in the living room. The entire house is just full of ripped open cans of dog food, bags of dog food all over the floor. So that's probably how they eat. Mixed in with all the dog feces and urine all over the floor too.
He says he's seen a dozen dogs on property.
By the way they look, the way they behave, they're extremely violent, extremely agitated, which means they're not well taken care of.
They all say they've contacted Animal Services. They have case numbers. The HOA says it started reporting Deborah in 2021. They're told an officer will contact them, but no one does.
We're trying to do all we can to advocate for the animals. We just keep hitting dead ends.
Okay, well, today we did get some answers late this afternoon. I heard back from the county's Department of Animal Services. They've made contact with Deborah and say she was complying with the 6-dog county limit as of April 14th. Now, one of the neighbors that we interviewed for our story that has made reports in the past says that late this afternoon she got a call from the county and they told her they are elevating her case and she'll be hearing from a lieutenant soon. We've put all this information, of course, the full statement from the county. It's on our website with this story. Now, as for the horse investigation that Deborah is involved with, the county says it is still ongoing. Live out here in the North County, this is Anna Laurel for CBS 8.
Thank you, Anna. You feel for the neighbors of that property with all the dogs, and you're also hoping that the dogs are being cared for properly. We'll continue to follow the story. Today, more than 30 organizations rallied in honor of International Workers' Day. This is a sky view of the rally in Chicano Park that we took just about an hour ago from our Chopper 8. This is an annual celebration of laborers and the working class. The rally in Chicano Park is meant to demonstrate against the conditions workers face here in San Diego. Some of the demands from demonstrators include union jobs with living wages for all workers, community control of housing, and health care for all.
People living in the path of a deadly 2021 plane crash in Santee have struggled to rebuild their homes and their lives since it all happened. One of the destroyed homes belonged to a young couple just starting out, and they weren't ready to give up their dream. So a group of contractors who are usually bidding against each other teamed up to help them out. CBS 8's Steve Price is live in Santee tonight to tell us how it all came together. Steve?
Yeah, Jesse, several of those contractors jumped on board the moment they were asked. In fact, before they even knew exactly what they would be doing. It's just another case of San Diegans coming together to help their neighbors in need.
Is there anybody? I don't know. Oh my God.
October 2021, a plane crashes into a Santee neighborhood, killing the pilot and a beloved UPS driver.
My dog! Where's your dog?
It also sparked a fire that destroyed 2 homes, one of them just purchased a few months earlier by newlyweds. Cody and Courtney Campbell lost everything that day, and their insurance didn't cover all their costs to rebuild.
They've been through a lot.
Contractor Brett Badger says he got a call from a buddy at RCP Brick and Block who heard the Campbells were struggling to finish their home. So he volunteered to help finish the job, and he wasn't alone.
So there were probably 10 different contractors out here at one time. And these are my competition. I don't usually get to see them and work with them, side by side. So it was very nice. We all have our specialty things.
So last weekend, a total yard transformation. Brett's crew built this fire pit. Others donated patio furniture, designed a sophisticated lighting system, and installed landscaping with native plants.
And when you walk by a native, you can almost hear it saying, don't touch me, don't water me, and don't fertilize me. And that's exactly the perfect plant for these kind of folks.
Perfect, because the Campbells don't have a lot of free time. They just had their first child a few months ago. These past 18 months have been a roller coaster of emotions.
These people can now sort of return to a normal life and maybe forget a little bit about that. Maybe the heart heals a little bit by having this.
So what do the Campbells think about their new yard? They didn't want to be interviewed on camera, but they do want to thank everyone who helped turn their dream into a reality.
Well, I can't even describe how appreciative they were, and there's where you go, wow, I knew it was going to be good. I didn't know that they were going to appreciate it that much, and it just feels good.
And think about it, these crews worked long hours on their days off to not only get the job done, Marcella and Jesse, but to get the job done on time. And I talked to Brett about that. He said, you know, after seeing the Campbells' reaction, I will gladly do this again for someone else in the future. We'll send it back to you.
So nice to see so much joy and happiness out there, collaboration between the contractors. It was a really dark day. We remember that day in 2021.
Yeah, so great to see that they've kind of pulled all their resources together, their skills, and made it happen.
Now a very bright cool spot on that street. Thanks, Steve.
Still ahead, the Verified team gets to the truth behind the claim all people with blue eyes share an ancestor.
Plus, why you are paying more if you like to shop in the produce aisle.
And that marine layer was thick and deep, but we did manage to see some partial clearing. I'm meteorologist Sean Stiles. We'll take a look at your microclimate forecast.
Plus, an interstate dust storm turns deadly.